and welcome to Pocket Ants. This is SimAnt 2020, and this is the end of the year episode for Pocket Ants. The game was released in the Play Store on June 27th of 2020 of this year, and after about 6 months, we're going to do a recap on the whole game here. So we start from inside the colony. The first thing we're going to do is kill the red ants. Now remember, this is from the perspective of a player who's been playing for almost 3 months now. I've gotten a lot of upgrades, I spent a ton of time on this game, so you can see that this will be a quick speed run showing all the different aspects of the game. So the red ant queen, you kill her quickly, you do get 1 pheromone and from 5 to 10 gems, which is the premium currency of the game. That's one of the events that you get daily in the game. The timer on that is once every 12 hours. But during events like the Christmas event, which is when I'm playing right now, it's once every 6 hours. So you can see the counter in the top right. It's telling you that there's 6 hours left. Another one of the events is the Aphid farm. And you can see that there are a lot of fire ants there. My strategy is I drop a garrison and I recruit my army, and they fight together, and then I take off the garrison. The Aphid farm spawns once every 6 hours, but during the event it's once every 3 hours. The benefit of the convoy is that you get honeydew for every worker that arrives back to the chamber alive. And through the honeydew shop, you can increase the honeydew bonus, which is basically the multiplier, so that the first upgrade is every 1 worker that returns, you get twice the honeydew. And then the next upgrade is 3 times, and then 4 times, and then 10 times is the max level. So you must first clear the fire ants that are defending the aphid farm. And then you protect the convoy and escort your workers as they march all the way back to the anthill. Now this is the most difficult escort because it's in the opposite corner of the map from where your anthill is. But as you can see, the main trick is just to use your soldiers to start attacking one of the fire ants before they get to your worker. As long as you have at least one of them attacking before they get to the worker, your chances of a worker not dying is very high. Obviously, recruit size and soldier speed is important to be more successful with this, and worker speed doesn't impact the speed of the convoy, so you'll notice if you're just starting that my guys walk much faster than your guys. Same with my player. I have a lot of upgrades. Also, you want to make sure you have auto breed on, which keeps your soldiers breeding despite them dying. The trick I use with the garrison is you'll see that there's additional soldiers that are walking slowly during my convoy. They just help as extra defenders to protect my workers on the convoy. And then you can see in the back, I have enough slow guys covering it. I don't have to defend the back quite as well as the front. And then eventually you will get to the anthill, and you just finish escorting your workers. Once they make it to the anthill, they are safe from attacks. So if you manage to pull the perfect 10, very well done. Typically we say anything above 7 is good enough, and then they will go into the anthill and drop off at the honeydew chamber. They will drop off the honeydew at the honeydew chamber. Now I'm going to do the fire ant nest chambers or dungeon. You always want to make sure you have your max number of soldiers. Before any resin upgrades, your total number of soldiers you start with is 50. So you can recruit 50 soldiers from the beginning of the game. As you do upgrade and collect resin, that amount will increase over time. So the first 2 chambers are just fire ants. Chamber 3 is when you start to see creatures. And you can see that there are 2 tarantulas in this chamber. You are allowed to use your flowers once per chamber, so those will always refresh for you. And the trick is to try to get as many of the creatures with a flower as possible, so you have less creatures attacking your ants while you're killing the creatures. You always kill the fire ants first, because they can kill your ants faster than the creatures. and then you want to sacrifice your body a lot for this, so you'll die a lot of times. And it doesn't cost anything dying here. The normal cost per death is 10% of your total collected food. So now we're on chamber 5. You can see I've gained 6 honeydew, and I still have 62 ants, so I'm doing rather well at this point. This is the hardest part of the game currently, is to clear the honeydew chamber. I've cleared it several times because I have a lot of upgrades, and I've, as I mentioned before, spent a lot of time playing this game. So when you first start, if you get to this chamber or the chamber afterwards, you've done well. As you progress and you get some upgrades, you'll see yourself get further through the chambers, but this is just a quick run to show all the chambers in this episode. So you can see we first started out with the tarantulas, and then there were mantis, and now there are tiger beetles. You can see typically you have 3 of the first creature and then 5 of the second creature type. So we started out with, I believe actually it was first 2 tarantulas, then 5 tarantulas, 3 mantis, then 5 mantis, 3 tiger beetles, and now 5 tiger beetles. Now this is one of the most difficult chambers in the dungeon, because these guys attack really fast and they can kill a lot of your ants in a short period. So if you've made it up to this chamber without maybe 3 or 4 upgrades, you've done very well. Usually you need at least a few upgrades before getting to this chamber, let alone beating it. And you can see they're 1 star, so they do die pretty quickly, but as I mentioned before, they attack very fast, so they do a lot of damage before you're able to kill them. You can see at chamber 8, we're up to 15 honeydew. From this chamber, I believe you get 4 or 3. 3. So now we have 18 honeydew as we go into chamber 9. Now this is a tricky one because you get 3 scorpions, and these scorpions are pretty strong, so they do take some time to kill. My stun flower is the max level, so it's 45 seconds, so fortunately I have plenty of time to kill these guys. So once again, it's 3 scorpions. These are each 2 star. You always get the 2 stars when you have 3, and then 1 star when you have the 5. And here we go to the 5 scorpions. Another tough chamber because there's 5 of these scorpions and they will chase very far. So, as typical, I try to kill the fire ants before killing any creatures, because the fire ants kill your ants quicker than the creatures will. I got lucky on this one. You can see I actually ended up stunning 3 of them. Typically I stun 2 or so. So this is the last of the difficult chambers. For the next 2, it's just the rhinos, which is quite easy. So you have 2 2-star rhinos. You just kill the fire ants first, as per normal, and then you kill the rhino beetles. Now the rhino beetles are the only creature that do not attack unless they get attacked first. So you're pretty safe to kill the fire ants while fighting in this chamber. And you can see now I'm up to 26 honeydew on chamber 11. Once they die, I get another 4 honeydew. And chamber 12 was almost the same thing, except there's 3 of them. Very rarely do you get the triple stun on this chamber. This is an unedited version of doing the fire ant nest chambers, and surprisingly I got very lucky on this version, so this is very unusual to stun all 3 of them. The next 2 chambers are usually the ones that weed out most players if they've made it this far with a few ants left, and you can do these chambers with like 10 ants, it's no problem, it just takes a while. But the next 2 chambers are the bombardier chambers, and the bombardiers are the strongest creatures in the game. So you have to be able to stun both of them to really be able to complete the chambers, and you can see I barely got both of them stunned, which I was very fortunate at. The next chamber is the chamber that is supposed to weed out almost everybody. So I believe right now there's about 20 people that have successfully completed this, and it's because of this chamber is when you are unable to complete it. So these guys are not normal 3-star bombardiers. They have health of like 8-star bombardiers, so they take a very long time to kill. I've only heard of one person being able to beat the dungeon without a 45-second stun, and that's Sir Mant. Everyone else, you need the 45-second stun, and some people used to beat this dungeon with just 2 to 5 ants left over, and it took them a very, very long time. But fortunately, with the Resin update, it's much more manageable to win the dungeon. And I've beaten it. I think at the beginning of this video you saw that I had 70 successful attempts, so I've been able to do it quite often. This is the Queen's Chamber, the final chamber of the Fire Ant dungeon. This is actually chamber number 15. And this is much easier than the previous 2 chambers. So the previous 2 chambers, if you can beat them, you won't have much trouble with this one. When I was first doing this, I used to kill all the fire ants that spawned. Now I've gotten good enough that this tactic that I use is sufficient to not get me killed. So you used to be able to get 200 honeydew when you beat the Fire Ant Queen, but that was reduced to 150. It wasn't really tested because nobody could do it when it was first released. So once people started being able to do it, it needed to be reassessed, and the determination or the decision was to reduce it down to 150 honeydew versus being the 200. And then you can see once you end up defeating the Fire Ant Queen, you get that nice 150 total. Which for the events that we've done thus far, the Halloween event and the Christmas event, it adds to the tracker quite nicely because honeydew counts. So what I'm doing now is I'm going up the tree. You can see there's another enemy here, the termites. And I'm going to end up doing a beehive run. So the few things, or the several things that you can do in this game, as you saw at the start, was the red ants. Then I had the aphid farm. Then I did the Fire Ant Nest Dungeon, and in the way this game was built since June, this was the order in which things were added to the game. So first you had your first you had your red ants, then you had the aphid farm, and then you had the Fire Ant Nest Dungeon, and then the tree was added. And I'm actually, before I do the beehive, I'm going to farm some resin. So resin was added in November. And there are 3 updates on Resin thus far, and there's expected to be a 4th one. Hopefully that'll be coming early in the next year. But as you can see, farming resin is tricky because of the termites. So what you need to do is have your soldiers and a garrison at the crack in the tree because termites come from the bottom. Your soldiers, I got lucky there with that termite attacking me because he could have killed me, but fortunately I was saved by my workers, and the termites stopped attacking me. That does not happen often. So once again, I got lucky a second time in this video. But use your workers to secure the resin patch, and you don't have to do what I'm doing here. I'm just fighting my way up the tree to push them all the way back from where they're spawning from. As long as you are at the resin patch, above it, or even slightly below it, protecting your workers, that's good enough. This, once again, is end gameplay, so it's not required that you push them all the way back to their spawn point. And I'm showing my upgrades here, so you can see that I have honeydew upgrades, a lot of honeydew upgrades, a lot of resin upgrades, and I even have a bunch of pheromones sitting around. So, as I mentioned a few times before, I've played this game for a long period. I guess it's actually more 4 months versus 3 months that I've been playing this game. Time flies. So after 4 months and a lot of grinding, I probably put in maybe 80 hours a week for the last 3 weeks because COVID has closed down my country and we've been stuck at home, and I've been just playing a lot. So I'm doing a little bit more resin farming here with this strategy that I'm using. This is once again end game. It actually reduces the cost that you pay in food to gather the resin. So remember, whenever you lose a soldier, you lose 15 food. Whenever you lose a worker, you lose 1 food. So it's cheaper to lose the workers, but of course it increases your gathering time due to the fact that you have less workers picking up the resin. So as you can see on the map, my workers are going back home, so I'm just actually turning them off because I'm going to go to the next feature here. I just want to show a little bit of resin farming, and then I'm going to move on to the Beehive. So the Beehive is the current newest addition to the game. What this is like a platformer, it's a maze or a labyrinth where you disguise yourself as a bee so that the bees don't kill you. You run in, and the technique here and what you want to do is to try to steal a prize from the queen bee. And you have to do that before your bee timer runs out, or your essence duration runs out. So once again, as I mentioned, I have a lot of upgrades, so this is not very difficult for me. But being a newer player, it is very challenging because you need to make sure you don't hit anything. Anything that you do hit or get hit by, you lose 10 seconds. Your timer starts at 6:30. I have an upgrade that made my timer start, for a longer duration. And my player speed is at the 4th upgrade, which costs a lot of resin to get to the 4th upgrade. And I've done this a lot, so I can navigate pretty well through the Beehive. So, of course, there's a certain path that you must follow. The more you practice it, the more you get used to the path. On our Discord, we have a map of the Beehive, so you can check that out and you'll be able to see the direction to go. I've done this many times, so I know the exact route. In fact, I was one of the beta testers when this was first released in the through Discord. So you have the opportunity to play the game before updates get released to the Play Store. And you can test out new features and new content. So I was there within an hour, I believe, of when he released this new content, and I kept going over and over again. You can see some of those videos in my YouTube channel of trying to map out the place. I made a handwritten map, which is quite pathetic compared to the maps that other players have made that are obviously very well done. Very detailed, very elegant, and quite nice, but my map was done on a piece of paper with a pencil, and it's not the most beautiful artwork I've ever done. Nonetheless, so the first thing you have to do is to get the flower. As you can see, I'm carrying the geranium, and you have to use that to put the queen bee to sleep. And once the queen bee is sleeping, then you'll be able to get one of the rewards. There have been a lot of changes to the Beehive since it started. It used to have a duration of like 7 minutes. That was reduced down to 6 minutes, and then it was reduced or increased back up to 6:30. The rewards were higher at the start. The cost originally was 300, then it was put up to 500, and then reduced back down to 300. So the wonderful thing about this developer is that he puts out new content, and as it gets tested and played by the community, he makes adjustments or tweaks it to make it appropriate for the community to succeed and to enjoy and not be too easy. And he's done that pretty much with almost every update I've seen him do, which is great. So as you can see, I chose the resin. The choices were to get a lot of resin, in this case 2,000. You could get honeydew, which at this point is at 75, or you can get the honeycomb. And the honeycomb is actually used to summon a creature that was added to the game, and this is the giant Asian hornet. This is one of the very few summons. Now during events like the Halloween event, the current Christmas event that's going on, you have a 100% chance to summon a creature, but for the most part, your summons, you can get any creature almost at any point. One of the exceptions is the dragonfly, which you can get almost always during rain, but it is possible to get not during the dry period when it's not raining, but it's very, very rare. But for the most part, when it comes to summoning, you're rolling a dice when it comes to what you get. So with the honeycomb, you get a 100% chance to get the hornet, and if you use the more expensive pheromones, the gold or the platinum, using 50 platinum or 100 of the gold pheromones, you're able to get the gold version of the hornet guaranteed. So it's a very good use of the pheromones to get 100% guarantee of a gold creature, and then also the creature that you want. So as you can see, if you exit the Beehive with enough time, you have to still take your prize to the anthill. So just getting out is not enough. You actually have to bring, if you get honeydew or resin, all the way down to the anthill. You only need the bee essence to still be applied once you get out of the Beehive, so that the bees don't kill you when you're just outside of the Beehive. So before you get to the tree, they can still kill you if you don't have your essence on after leaving the Beehive. And then if you have the honeydew or the resin, you must take it to their infected chamber and drop it off there. If you have a honeycomb, all you need to do is use the pheromones to summon the creature that you want. So this is me just giving an example of summoning a creature. So I ended up summoning a gold creature, and since I didn't have the honeycomb, it's any gold creature, so in this case you can see that it is a mantis. You get a warning as you can see your creature army is full, letting you know that if you want to capture the creature, you have to make a spot in your creature army. So that is how you make a spot in your creature army. You just got to throw a creature into storage. You start the game with 3 storage spots, and then you can buy each additional storage spot for 200 gems. Surprisingly, the price does not increase the more you get. I know it's a very common theme in games that once you buy the first one, it incrementally increases for each additional storage spot or additional purchase. In this game, not the case. So you can see I'm enslaving a creature right now. For my army, the mantis just doesn't make sense, so I'll end up killing the mantis, but I just wanted to show or to demonstrate the aspect of capturing a creature, enslaving it, and then making sure, of course, you have a spot for it in your creature army. So, as you can see, you have 12 creature spots, and then if you unlock all the storage, you have 12 storage spots. So you can fight also Dr. Zany through the battle menu. This is an NPC. As a new player, this is a great way to start building a creature army, but as an experienced player, you usually don't do this unless you did it for testing, but now you can actually fight yourself to do testing. So when the Christmas Spider and the Ghost Mantis came out, well, the Christmas Spider you were able to attack yourself, that update was there, but the Ghost Mantis we weren't really able to test because you couldn't attack yourself. So you can see in the battles, the flowers, you can use them once per battle, and you know, they're not a one-time purchase. You can always use the flowers every battle or every chamber in the Fire Ant Nest dungeon. So I'm just killing here real quick. Now this is Dr. Zany. It's a very easy battle. Next I'm going to do a PvP battle where you can see me fight another player. The player you get is random. There are requirements in order to fight another player. Once they have to be logged off, they have to not have a shield, and they also have to be available to be attacked, meaning that somebody else can't be fighting them. So before I actually do another PvP battle, you can see I'm back in the Queen, the Fire Ant Queen. The reason I'm doing this is because I wanted to show you there is an event currently going on when this was being recorded, which is the Christmas event. So you can get these Christmas creatures or Christmas spiders, and as a result, once you get the tracker filled, you can summon a creature spider, a Christmas spider. As you can see, I just summoned him, and I'm going to attack and capture him. The Christmas spider is a special creature, so he gets his own special tab. If you join in after the Christmas events, you will be unable to get the Christmas spider. The Ghost Mantis was available during Halloween. Once again, you had to be playing the game during the Halloween event to get the Ghost Mantis, so the same thing is true for the Christmas spider. These are the first 2 and only 2 events in the game, and we're expecting to see events in the future as well. I'm not sure if there's going to be a Valentine's Day event or a Easter event, but we are expecting that kind of stuff to occur, but we will see. So, killed the Christmas spider. I selected the capture army, or capture option once I made space in my creature army, and then I'm going to be enslaving the Christmas spider. And as you can see in my storage, I did have a lot of Christmas spiders throughout the event. So, in this, I also do show some serious merging, so I have, or fusing, I have all my upgrades for fusion at max. So you can see with the 1 star, I'll end up having 100% chance. With the fusion of the 2 stars, I believe that's a 60% chance. And with the fusion of the 3 stars, I believe that is a 25% chance. I do end up using gems when fusing the 3 stars to get them up into 4 stars because the percent chance is quite low. So you'll see that. Of course, this is all probability based, so you cannot expect to always succeed unless you have 100%. You'll see even after spending gems and with a 75% chance you can still fail. So I'm just doing the fusions here, and as I mentioned, my Enslave chamber is maxed out, which gives you a higher fusion chance, and then of course my honeydew are maxed out as well, which gives me even a higher fusion chance. Alright, and as you can see at the end of everything, I ended up with a 4-star Christmas spider and a 2-star Christmas spider. Fortunately, there still are several days left in the event, so I will try to get more Christmas spiders. Now I'm doing a PvP battle versus a player. The strategy I use is I run to the south or the north and pull out my creatures and my ants to kill some of their ants. Now the reason you have to do this strategy nowadays is because the Venus flytrap, which is the most recent actually addition to the game with regards to PvP, is the Venus flytrap, and it can eat your creatures whole. So you want to be careful not to let your creatures get eaten if possible. So you fight the battle on the opposite side of the anthill from where the Venus flytrap is, and you just try to kill off the creatures before setting in your ants to kill the Venus flytrap. And you can see I got killed there. Dying in PvP is not a horrible thing, but you want to try to avoid it. Also in this battle, you'll notice in the top left that I'm at 3,999 trophies. So once you hit 4,000, you actually end up in the Diamond League. So this is my video of my fight getting into Diamond League, and I actually don't end up staying in Diamond League. It's too expensive to stay there. You get short shields, and there's no real big benefit of being in the Diamond League at this point, so I end up just getting there, and then I leave the Diamond League. So this battle is a typical PvP battle, but for me it was a little bit different because of the addition to getting to the Diamond League. So you kill all the creatures of the enemy, then your ants can attack the queen. If you kill all the soldiers as well, your creatures will be able to attack the queen too. And then depending on how well you do, you get a certain number of pheromones. If you have battle tokens, if you fight Dr. Zany with battle tokens, you can get at most 1 pheromone. But if you fight other players, you can get up to 3 pheromones. So there is the Diamond League. You can see the shield is only 1 hour. The resources you get are 50% bonus to the resources that you get. Alright, so now I'm doing a final tour of my anthill, so you can see all the different buildings or chambers I have within my anthill. I'm going to show you the levels of each of my buildings. Now remember, every building maxes out at 12 except for the slaves or enslave chamber, which maxes out at 4. And then you can see the total number of max resources in the top left are 9,999 of your primary 4 resources. And then of course you have a maximum of the honeydew, which becomes 9,999, and then the resin, which is 99,999. I have not maxed out my resin chamber yet to level 12, so I do not have the ability to get the maximum amount of resin there. And then this is about it for the game as of the end of 2020. I'm going to show a feature of the rock, because the rock does have a few uses in the game, and I just want to show one. I do have a YouTube video on this, so if you've already seen that video, you don't have to watch the bonus footage at the end here. But if you haven't seen it, you can also see a use of the rock as well. So I like to do a special thanks to AG, Aerial Games, the programmer or developer of this game. He works alone. This is his full-time job. He works tirelessly on it, and he's made just a wonderful game for us. I really appreciate all the work and time and effort you put into the game, and how you help the community out with regards to tweaking things, and how you listen to the community, the AMAs you do where you speak to the community. It's all just wonderful things. I'd like to thank Danny, Bun, and Drac, the admins for the Discord. They do a great job of keeping us up and running and give us a wonderful place where we can discuss things and, have just basic conversations and a place to go to talk about the game and to contact the developer through the support there with the tickets. If you have any issues, you can either email the developer, but what works typically better is to go to the tickets, and then you can talk, report bugs. If your game doesn't work or anything like that, you can do it through Discord, through the options menu, which is wonderful. So there have been many players that have helped me in the game. We've talked a lot. A couple people that come to mind is Tavio, Mobot, Nakos, Phantom, Sir Mant, there's Cowie, there's several more other players that have helped me get to where I am. Goth is another one. And you guys have been great. The community is very, very great. There's only a few toxic people that I've ever spoken to, and Discord, we usually don't keep a lot of the toxic people in the Discord server. If they don't have anything positive to contribute and they break rules, their time there is very short. So there's been a lot that's gone into this game. I appreciate definitely the community base that we have. The players, you guys are great. I know we don't always see eye to eye on everything, but overall, it's just wonderful having you group of players. I look very forward to see what's going to happen in 2021 as this game continues to develop and the player base continues to grow. And we broke 5 million downloads within about 4 months, so this game is truly wonderful. It's a gem. So if you haven't played this game, please check it out. Haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. If you like the video, please like it, and feel free to comment below. I don't have a big following, so I do reply to all my comments. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this long video, the summary of the game in 2020. And until next time, see ya.